Welcome back. Okay, so on to the next lesson. What causes DPDR? A lot of people have theories behind this. If you go on Reddit, you will see one theory. If you go on YouTube, you'll see another. But I will tell you what the scientific studies and research say about what actually causes DPDR. So first I want to start out by imagining that you have a bucket of water. Imagine you're in your yard or your garden and you're filling up a bucket of water. If you fill up too much water, what is going to happen? I think that's pretty obvious. The bucket's going to overflow. So imagine now your nervous system, and every time that something nerve-wracking happens, anytime you have any sort of little bit of trauma, whether it's, you get in a fight with your spouse, maybe you got a bad grade on a test, maybe you got yelled at work, anytime that you have a little amount of trauma, you are building and building and building that bucket, this is a metaphor, inside your nervous system. And when you have too much buildup in your nervous system, eventually you're going to hit a point where you have a full nervous system of stress and anxiety and of trauma. But in this case, instead of a bucket, this is your nervous system and this is your body. So a lot of people ask me, they'll say something like, oh, well, I got DP because of weed. Yes, that is very true. That does happen. It happened to me as well. But look at what happened to me. I had a lack of sleep for probably the 8 to 9 months previous before even having DP. I wasn't taking vitamins. I'm not saying vitamins are necessary, but they can help. I was getting sick all the time. I was overly stressed. I had one thing after another that was building, and stacking on top of each other. So when I did the weed, I hit an overwhelm point. The weed was the straw that broke the camel's back. It's what caused the bucket to essentially overflow. It's not necessarily what caused DP. It's just what caused it to overflow. And what I want to say is that the causes of DP are different for everybody, but the cause is some sort of trauma. And I'm not talking about some major trauma. I'm not talking about a car crash. I'm not talking about coming back from a war. I'm talking about trauma in the sense of any little thing that has just accumulated over time. Like I said, this could be breaking your toe. I guess that's more of a major thing, but this can be getting yelled at. This can be doing bad on a test. It can be maybe you dent your car a little bit, not a crash, but just dent it. This is going to add up little stacks of trauma. And then when you add big pieces of trauma or big stacks of trauma onto the little stacks, you're eventually just filling up your nervous system with more and more overwhelm. And eventually your nervous system gets to the point where it can't take it anymore. And your brain essentially decides that it is better for your body to no longer feel the challenges of life. And it feels like it's better to essentially numb you to those feelings. And that's where depersonalization comes in. That's where DP and DR come in. That's why we feel symptoms of being cut off. That's why we feel symptoms of like things are dreamlike, because our brain has gotten to the point where it has seen that there's so much buildup of tension and so much buildup of energy and stress and trauma that our brain no longer wants us to feel those symptoms, and it feels like feeling nothing would be better than feeling the pain of life, essentially. I'll go into more detail in the next video, and I'll kind of explain more like the science behind it. This is more just kind of an overview, but I'll explain the science behind it and what exactly fight or flight mode is.